Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Sterling Live. My name is Caitlin Brower. I am Sterling's social media manager, and we go live every single week across LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube. And I'm so happy to be back for another week. We actually have 2 episodes this week, but we're going to start with today's episode, a really great episode. So as you can see, I have 2 great guests with me. So I'm going to go ahead and introduce them to you all. So we have Stephen Feliciano, Client Success Supervisor for On-Demand and the Gig Economy. And then Tracy Leary, who's been here before, she's back, People and Culture Manager. And today our topic is we are celebrating Pride Month. So Team Sterling celebrates Pride Month. Very exciting, very happy to be here with Stephen and Tracy. So we have a great episode for everyone watching today. So I just want a friendly reminder, if you are watching live right now on Facebook, LinkedIn, or YouTube, you can ask our guests questions if they do come up throughout the show. So just go in the comment section across these platforms and ask your questions and press enter, and I will get them over to Tracy and Stephen as I see fit. So let's go ahead and let's get this show started. So I do want to start with formal introductions from the 2 of you. So let's go ahead and do that. So Stephen, I'm going to kick it off with you first. Can you please introduce yourself and tell our audience a little bit about yourself?
Sure. Hello, my name's Stephen Feliciano. Happy Pride. I am the Client Success Supervisor for our On-Demand and Gig Economy vertical. I have been with Sterling for 8 years. I am currently I'm based out of our Cleveland, Ohio area in our office. Just some random things. I'm pretty involved in the community here in Cleveland. We have our Stonewall Sports League, and through that we have bocce and volleyball and kickball and dodgeball and a lot of great fun that's actually just starting to come back. So very exciting.
That is exciting. I do love a good game of volleyball. So maybe we can get into that later. Maybe we'll play one day. But that is great. So Tracy, can you go ahead and introduce yourself and let our audience know a little bit about yourself as well?
Sure. Thanks for the welcome, Caitlin, and great to be here with you, Stephen. My pronouns are she and her. Stephen, your pronouns are?
He, him.
He, him. And I am the People and Culture Manager, like you said, otherwise known as Human Resources here at Sterling. Well, I've been in Human Resources for just over 20-some years or so. I'm somewhat new to Sterling, but I've been here for about a year. I'm also located in Ohio, and my husband and I bought a house that's a labor of love, and we are enjoying our time getting to learn Cleveland and fall in love with it as a second home, so to speak. And happy to be here on the Celebrating Pride. Happy Pride is right, Stephen.
Yes, absolutely. Happy Pride, of course. So that I do have a question for the 2 of you. So what does pride mean to you? So Stephen, we can kick it off with you.
So for me, pride is sort of an evolving thing, right? So when I first came out, it was very much a celebration, sort of. It's going to kind of sound a little bit selfish, but very much a celebration of myself and of oneself. I think when you first sort of come out, sort of celebrating finally sort of being your true version of yourself with the world and sharing that and kind of, then beginning the process of, where do I fit in this community, which is kind of what's brought me to what pride means to me today. Where it is very much after sort of everything that I've learned about, queer history and all of the fight that has been, kind of going on through the decades. It's very much about celebrating those voices and those stories about, the people that have made it so that I can live my truest life and be my truest self to everyone, whether it's just in my everyday life or while I'm, working here at Sterling.
I love that answer for sure. Ooh. I think that's me, that little echo we all heard right there. So I was just spoken way too loudly into the microphone. So apologies for anyone who got that massive feedback there. I do love that answer though, Stephen. It was truly great. So Tracy, what does pride mean to you?
I loved Stephen's answer about celebration of himself, right? I look at it as like a celebration of inclusion. And as we go through this journey together, Stephen and Caitlin, and just everyone in the world, it's been great to be included in it, no matter where you fall on that spectrum or where you are in your own personal journey. So I look at it as a journey to inclusion with some fun, because you got to just love all the colors and the smiles. And we celebrated locally Pride this past weekend here in Cleveland, Caitlin, and it was a fantastic, you watch the news, you read it, the celebration was just there in more ways than one in past years, right, Stephen?
Yeah, this year was different because every year's kind of special when we get together. But last year, since we weren't able to do that with the pandemic, this year we had they called it a Pride Ride, it wasn't quite a Pride Parade because they didn't want to have people gathering in that sort of way, but a lot of people ended up kind of gathering on the sides of the street along the route, and it was just such good energy, and it was so nice to see people that you haven't seen in a while. And one of the highlights for me, it was very unintentional, was that because it's not an official parade, it's not locked off, and it was you would see people kind of just drive by that were just like living their everyday life. Somebody drove by with their laundry, and you could tell it was just somebody just kind of running their errands. And at one point it was a garbage truck, and everyone was just cheering, and then the garbage man was beeping the horn, and it was just such a fun way to really kind of remind ourselves that we are a community, and it is we hopefully have seen nearing the end of the pandemic. So this year is very, very special.
Well, I can only hope that the next time I'm running an errand that I hop into a Pride Parade, because I hope that is how it is around here too. But I can definitely attest to what the two of you are saying, just around the, inclusion of things, and just, how fun it can be, and everyone smiling and being together. I live in, the New York area, so I do love seeing, everything from that Pride Parade. And obviously last year didn't happen. So I am very much looking forward to everything that will go on this year. So I do love that you guys shared those stories too from this past weekend, and it sounded like a bunch of fun. So, all right, so let's move into our second area of our topic. So I want to talk about both of your journeys, being within the community and also in being an ally. So Stephen, can you share your journey as a part of the LGBTQIA+ community?
Sure. So I actually came out, it will be 10 years in August. And it was kind of like I had said, it was really sort of looking inward first, and then sort of figuring out where I fit in the community. And I'd mentioned before, I'm active in, it's called Stonewall Sports. And sort of surface level, you would just think, okay, it's a sports league. But truly, I've met people that have changed my life and have changed the perspective on the way that I look at the community. And like I said, it was learning about these people, your Marsha P. Johnson, your Sylvia Rivera, people like Audre Lorde. These people have worked very hard to make it so, again, queer people can live their lives and live their truest lives. And so I kind of feel like if I can be sort of that beacon of light, of that rainbow of light, then, I feel like I am happy to do that. And, to, again, bring sort of light to these voices that people might not essentially think of when they think of, the word pride.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, that's very powerful. And I really do love the story just shared for sure. So Tracy, would love your perspective being an ally. So can you please let our audience know your journey in becoming an ally?
Sure. So I would say and describe my upbringing as pretty traditional. And, for most of my life, in my, late teens and early 20s, I got exposure to different things. I remember my sister, she was my older sister. Don't tell her I looked up to her, but I'll never admit that. But she, she gave me a pin. And Steve, I taught you about that, right? With the pink triangle was a symbol before the rainbow. And I got a lot of questions about that in high school. And I remember talking to my psych teacher about that. And then, and in my early 20s and going into college and gain exposure to the ultimate Frisbee community. That's a very welcoming community. And people shared their stories with me, which was fabulous. And I sit here now in my early 40s, maybe mid 40s, and I have not just dear friends that I consider family, but I have family members that identify with the community. And I love, one of the reasons I joined Sterling, Caitlin, is, and I have to share the story, is, I went on the interviews, and in the Ohio office where Stephen sits, there was the rainbow ST emblem everywhere. It wasn't just on one or two cubicles. It wasn't just on one or two office or just on the bulletin board. People had that as a message of inclusion. And it was one of the reasons I wanted to join. So, I go back from the pin to the rainbow. My journey has been one of a very personal journey that I've, experienced myself. Everyone's is different, but I've been fortunate enough to have people like Stephen and people in my life share their story with me so that I could learn to become an ally, and hopefully a good one to them at one point.
So I share a similar story with you when I joined Sterling. I think we joined probably at the same time. When I did walk into the New York office, the rainbow logo was everywhere. And it was, like you had just said, it wasn't just pinned up on a wall. It was on everyone's laptops, their backpacks. They had it, like everyone wanted to wear it. They wanted to have it there. So, and if, our audience, watching right now, you can look in the top corner, you will see the logo, and it truly is beautiful. And I'm a social media person. I do love putting it out there all the time. It is one of my favorite things to do every year, is to get that and just to showcase, our community and, what we do as an organization. So, and we'll get into that a little, I teased a little bit. We'll get into a little bit in the conversation a little bit. I do want to point out though, Stephen, you got a great call out on LinkedIn. It says, Stephen is an amazing example for the Cleveland community. Proud to know him. So I agree.
Thank you.
I very much agree with that. So yeah, so the two of you, thank you both for sharing your journeys. It's really helpful to, paint that picture for our audience, for people to understand, Stephen, your journey, and then Tracy, your journey within, being an ally. So I want to continue the conversation around being an ally and allyship and how important it is. So Stephen, I'll start with you. Why is allyship so important?
The sort of biggest example that comes to mind is when we look back to the 80s and sort of the AIDS crisis. The queer community would not have survived had it not been for allies, queer women, but also allies. There were men and women that stood up, while not being part of the community, and said, "Hey, we need to shine a light on these issues." And I think that the most important work that we can do as the community is just work together. And I think, that's not possible if it's just us. If it's just us raising our voices, we're not going to get too much accomplished. But if we continue to work with our allies and we continue to kind of push forward together, we can get a lot of things done. And I think that history's kind of shown that time and time again, really. But again, the one sort of example that comes to mind is back in the 80s and 90s, and even again today. I mean, there are several LGBTQ causes that we wouldn't be able to sort of have the sort of platform to have the conversation on had it not been for our allies.
I think it's a great perspective for sure. I don't understand what is going on with I think it's my microphone, to be honest. So I just apologize to everyone, all that crazy feedback that's coming. Hopefully it doesn't happen much more throughout the show. But Tracy, would love your perspective too on why allyship is so important.
Well, and, from an HR perspective, it's always been, something I strive for, right? To include and support all the employees that are on the team, let alone diverse ones or ones that feel that they're left out. But I also think too, what in my own personal progress, in my own personal journey, I love the idea of action and accountability for allies. I just shouldn't support Stephen, over a cup of coffee, but I have to actively stand next to him and be a part of, different what, I don't want to necessarily go to protest, but, stand with him in the change and support him. And I think that's the same thing for our fellow Black Americans, right? As white privileged, we need to stand up next to them. And I am growing in that more and more from a professional perspective and also a personal journey. And I look forward, like working with Stephen just in the past year or so has been great, seeing his style and hearing him articulate things and what's been going on, what works and what doesn't work necessarily. And I think that's a great from an ally too, is to listen, but also take action.
Definitely. And I do appreciate you bringing up, just like the learning process with things and continuing to learn and making that a goal of yours, both professionally and personally. I can definitely agree with you on that, because it's been, quite the journey, so to say, if we want to bring that for sure. But that, continued learning is so important, and also like taking action as well. So very much loved both of your perspectives there. So let's shift gears now and talk about being a part of the TQIA plus community within the workplace. So let's talk about being at work and things like that. So when it comes to that, Stephen, what is the type of support that really allows you to bring your best self to work?
Honestly, I think just kind of normalizing being sort of around queer people is key. I think for me, in my journey with Sterling, across the 8 years of me being here, it's never felt like I was sort of singled out for, being the queer person on the team, or even, just kind of being felt like I was being tiptoed around. It very much always just kind of felt like I was just part of the team, and that sort of my personality just kind of fit in with wherever I was, whichever team I was on. It was just a normal experience. And I think that that's kind of what people want, is to just essentially feel like they're being part of the team without constantly having to feel the need to express, their like queerness. I think, in some cases it's very nerve-wracking for people, because, especially in the workplace, there are some people that essentially have to come out every single day. And I think that kind of takes its toll on, anybody, but, to kind of feel like, again, just being a regular member of the team is something that's so helpful. And it's been very helpful for me here at my corporate Sterling.
Yeah. And I truly think that's great. And I was gonna add something. We did an episode in January with Jennifer Ketchens, and talking about all of diversity and inclusion, and Sterling's efforts around there and where we want to go. And she had brought up, bringing your best self to work and just being able to be yourself. And that's, you're going there to do your job, and you don't have to explain yourself. And I had expressed that I truly love Sterling for that fact, that I can show up every day. I'm Caitlin Brower, and this is who I am. And it has nothing to do with what I'm getting done. Like I'm there and I am who I am. And Sterling raises me up to be that person, to be the worker that I am. So I'm very happy that you brought that up, because it's apparent in so many situations at Sterling, and it truly is great for sure. So Tracy, do you have anything to add in regards to, supporting, these individuals within the community to bringing their best self to work?
The only thing I would add, Caitlin, is that, normalizing is such a great word, but what about listening too? I think when an employee does want to express themselves, in a variety of, a certain benefit they may need, or, how they're feeling in a certain meeting, or the fact that they want to use a pronoun or they don't want to use a pronoun, right? Listening from an ally perspective, and even from someone who identifies with the community, that could go a long way with regards to normalizing and also including everyone in the community.
Yeah, I love that. That's a great tip for everyone that's listening right now to listen. Please sure to listen. So I do now want to talk about inclusion impacting the bottom line. So there's 3 areas within organizations that I do want to talk about. And Tracy, I know you have some stats in all of these 3 areas. So I'm going to gather feedback from the 2 of you in all 3. So let's start with team performance and that impact with inclusion.
I mean, there have been studies done, Caitlin, that show that team performance can improve by as much as 50% when everyone on the team is feeling included. Stephen, you're shaking your head. Yes. Do you have anything to add?
Yeah. Agreed.
You can bring your whole self to work. A lot can happen. Amazing things can happen when you meet with others who are also doing that same, and there's a chemistry. They've talked about that too. Zoom has a great way to substitute, but there's nothing like in-person interactions and the chemistry that's built amongst a team when they're in person and working on things such as research or innovation on something or a new process.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. If because we had just talked about, like being yourself at work. If you're not like yourself, then you're hiding something you can't fully produce. And so it's not, there is no team like performance really. And why wouldn't you want everyone to give 100% of everything? So I think that stat is really eye-opening, and everyone, should be writing notes essentially to see how much of that productivity and performance can increase. So definitely important there. So what about with retention and hiring?
Right. So what we're finding right now that, as we try to retain or try to recruit, that 25, 26% of our job seekers want a company that is outspoken and highlighting the fact that they are inclusion. They don't want to commit to folks that, companies that aren't committed to diversity. So in order to retain and to also recruit, we really need to show that ST rainbow symbol when you're, on an interview. It's your signature page, things like that on email. So I think it is an important factor as we especially transition out of the pandemic and people are hiring again and the market is adjusting and resetting. We're looking at that as, as an organization to make sure that we're telling candidates, yeah, we are including and inclusive here and we want you on our team.
Yeah. So Stephen, what are your thoughts on that? You obviously work at Sterling. I'm not asking you to leave Sterling tomorrow, but if you were to move on, how does that stat, kind of resonate with, your thought process behind this?
I mean, I'm not leaving.
I want to put that out there. He's not leaving.
I think we'll just talk about staying. I'm going to talk about staying. I feel like, Sterling's done such a wonderful job at, we talk the talk, but we also walk the walk here at Sterling. And I think that it's been an incredible sort of journey, especially being in our SAFE organization, which is our employee resource group, where people are sharing their stories of not just, they're an employee, they're, somebody that's in the community and, like Tracy had mentioned, maybe you need a specific benefit or you need, just somebody to talk to. And hearing the stories of these people being able to sort of open up themselves and, have, what I'm sure might be uncomfortable conversations, but then get the support that they need is one of the reasons that I think I will, be here for quite a while.
It was a good way to spin it for sure, to not going somewhere else, but the retention and staying. So I think that's great, and it's something that I am very happy that you brought up. Walking the walk, not just saying things, because it makes me proud as an employee here that when we do change out something, our logos, it's not just doing that and that's it. We really are doing so many other things. And I'm so proud to get that out there in the position that I am in within marketing and social media and letting the world know. This episode, for example, was something that I was thrilled to do. And I'm having such a tremendous conversation with the two of you so far, as we're 23 minutes in right now and having just the best time. So I am so happy you brought up that point, because it is something that I am truly proud of working here. So one final area, and it's just with performance. So what do we know there?
Right. So, organizations are reporting that, when they have higher gender diversity and just diversity in general, higher than other organizations, they outperform. So that could be in profitability or cost savings or just in any of their key metrics. So we also want to show that and showcase that in general, right? We want a diverse workforce, people coming from different walks of life, including from the LGBTQIA plus community, to help us outperform our competition that may not be.
Yeah, and just being like, I feel like just being happy at work and loving what you do, loving who you work for, it all ties back to that. And if, companies aren't like, hitting the mark in in some of these areas, it's your employees aren't going to be happy. They're not going to be wanting to perform for you. And then you're not going to do what you just said and outperform competitors. So I think these three groups were truly eye-opening, these stats around these three areas, because at the end of the day, it does tie back to your employee base and, are they showing up? What is, are you allowing them to be their true selves? And it really does impact the bottom line of businesses. So it's not just this thing that we go out and say. It's not, right. It really does have an impact, and there's data behind it, as we just shared. So I think it's really great that the three of us just dove into those areas and we're able, to share, the hard hitting facts, but then also sharing our perspectives as well. So I really think that's great. So we did mention Sterling a handful of times already, but I really want to go into the details around, what we are doing, how we are celebrating Pride Month, and then other ways too, how we are inclusive and, just helping support our employees. So let's talk about that. So our support and participation. So Stephen, you actually mentioned SAFE earlier. I would love for our audience to know what SAFE is. So I think Tracy, you want to let everyone know what SAFE is.
I'd love to let everyone know, because this has been a great experience for me personally, from a professional standpoint. You see the campaigns, you might see a sticker or two promoting some initiative, but this initiative has seriously grown and just gone into a fantastic result for people like Stephen and I. And what that is, what SAFE stands for is Sterling's Acceptance for Everyone. It is our employee resource group that is led at the executive level, all the way down to my level in HR. We have, I think we have close to 200 members in it. It is, its mission is to foster the visibility and inclusion of folks in the LGBTQIA group. And I love this sentence. It's a group that will share and learn from each other's identities. And it's been truly, right? And it's been a truly fantastic organization to be a part of. When I started last year, I was part of the group. I think we started off, Stephen, even with like 25 or 30 of us. And then to have over 200 people, and our leaders show up, guys. Our CEO and lead and his executive team are on those calls. We have some fun activities planned for June, which I know we'll get into, but it's been a great organization to help demystify any questions or, demystify the LGBTQI group for our employees and hopefully help us reach better team performance and outperforming our competition.
The goals that we are going for sure. The growth is tremendous. So hats off to the two of you and the other members of our SAFE ERG. I think that's so outstanding. And you guys are putting in the work and you're building out this community that's truly needed within the organization. And I love that mission. That's the mission statement. It truly is so impactful in such a short little sentence. And Tracy too, I'm very happy that you brought up the executive support. So I'm in our women's network, ERG, and it's everyone's there. It's everyone's there, and it's from the top. It's from everyone's involved. And that's one of the biggest pieces of feedback I do always hear around the organization with all of our ERGs group, that it's, the executives are involved and they're there and they prioritize it. It's not like something they have to do, or they're just going to go out and encourage people to do it. They do it, they want to. And I love that. So I think it's great that you mentioned that. Very important to note there. So within SAFE, you guys are planning a lot of fun things, a lot of things that are coming out within Pride Month that Sterling is doing. Not just this episode, even though this is probably my favorite thing, because I love interviewing the two of you. I could do it all day. But Stephen, can you please let us know, what do we have this month that we are doing?
So we actually have a couple of events. We are doing Pride Trivia. We have a contest going for Show Us Your Pride, and whether that's, dressing up your dog or if you want to dress up.
Send me the dog photos.
I'm all on board for the pet pictures, no matter what time of year it is, but it's kind of an added bonus when you see a little bit of some rainbow in there. So it's we have that going. We are also doing an Ask Me Almost Anything segment later this month. And then we are going to be doing Drag Queen Bingo later this month. So I'm very excited to bring one of our local Cleveland queens to sort of the Sterling stage. And she will be, I'm without a doubt, probably one of the highlights of Pride Month, I think, so far.
Yeah, no, definitely. All of those sound tremendous and super fun. And I'm very happy for our organization to take part in all of these events. And then also to, everyone that's watching now, if you're not working at Sterling, don't worry, you're going to see all the fun behind the scenes, because we're going to let you guys see it, because it's so great. So we're going to be posting pictures, videos. I know I'm already ready. I have the dates on my calendar. I'm like, let's go. I'm so excited for that, for sure. But so many great things we discussed on this episode, from all parts of what, Pride means to the two of you, being an ally, everything. And then everything that Sterling is doing to truly help and support our employees. So I loved this discussion so much. So at this time, if you are watching live on Facebook, LinkedIn, or YouTube, just a friendly reminder, if you have questions for Stephen and Tracy, go ahead and pop them in the comment section. Go ahead and press enter and I'll get them over to them. But as we wait for any final questions that come through, I would love to get just final thoughts from the two of you on our discussion today on Pride Month, on anything else that's just top of mind. Dogs dressing up with rainbow colors. That could be your final thoughts, but just final thoughts from today's episode. Tracy, we can start with you.
Sure. I just like to say that, we're all on a journey here in life in general. And if anybody has any questions or feels a little uneasy, that's completely normal. Learning about the LGBT community has been one of the best things that's ever happened to me in my life. And it's been an honor to, be a partner with so many of my loved ones and my, from family to friends, like I said in the past, to be a part of their lives and their families. And I hope that everyone that's listening, if there's any questions or concerns about, your journey, you're exactly where you're supposed to be right now. And don't hesitate to reach out to me as an ally, or Stephen I'm going to, leverage you, Stephen. Stephen is part of the community too, but I do consider myself part of the LGBTQI community, and I'm proud to be a part of them. And I hope I continue to be able to be a part of them.
I love that. Thank you, Tracy. Stephen, final thoughts from you.
Pride 2021 is going to be, I know that we are sort of a weekend now, but it is going to be a very, very special month. And I think that it is important to celebrate the queer people in your life, celebrate the history of being queer and, in America and also beyond. But I think Tracy had said, being an ally and learning about the community is one of the best things. I think being a queer person was one of the best things that's ever happened to me. I think I have found such joy in the community, and I've met people that have just changed my life and have changed my perspective on things, and it is a thing to be celebrated, and I'm glad that we get to do it sort of in person this year.
Yes.
It's like final thoughts, which is the best final thoughts I've ever heard, I think. And like literally bringing a tear to my eye. I love that so much, Stephen. And I'm so happy, everything that you were able to share with our audience today. I do have one final ask for the two of you, and it's coming off of LinkedIn. They both want to see your t-shirts and what they say.
Oh.
Or what they just have on them. So I love that. Absolutely. This is so great. Oh, I love the two of them. Oh. That is so perfect. You got to tell me where you both got those shirts, because I love them so much. Anything with just a great message of erasing hate, and then anything obviously with a rainbow you can tack on to all of my stuff. I absolutely love it. I love whoever asked to see the. Okay, Val, thank you for that, because I think that's the best part of the show. Those shirts are great, and we'll just have to get them on the next episode. We will do just a dog contest, so put all of your rainbows on the dogs. But Stephen and Tracy, the two of you were outstanding guests today. This was an outstanding episode, and I could not thank the two of you for opening up and sharing everything with our audience. It was great. I learned so much, and I could not be more proud to work at a company like Sterling, be an ally, and just be here talking to the two of you right now. So thank you both so much. Thank you to our audience that tuned in live on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube, and anyone who is watching on demand. We truly appreciate your support. And as I said earlier, Sterling Live is coming at you twice this week. Big, big week. So we will see you again tomorrow on Tuesday, June 8th at 1 p.m. Eastern. But again, thank you both so much. I truly do appreciate it.
Thanks.
Thank
Caitlin.
you.
Goodbye, everyone.